For years, I would hear Pauline Shirley use the coin phrase servant leader. I thought it was just a casual thought until I researched it and I learned what it all was about. I learned the most significant lesson was that I came from a family that put others first. My grandfather, all that he did and strived to be when he came to America from Turkey, from the area close to Turkey in a area of Greece called Smyrna, that he put America first because he wanted to grow in this country with all the beautiful opportunities that it offered. This morning, the definition, we all know what a servant is. If I am going to be your servant, I'm going to do what it takes to make you happy. You request of me, and I do what you ask of me. A leader, we all know, is someone who leads a group, whether it's an organization or a department in the corporate world. A servant leader can be anywhere in the community. A parent can take on a role about a school and see there's something about the entry into that school that triggers, I think there's a better way. We need a different entry with a better security, or that's what a servant leader does. They find and they implement and they go to the proper authority and they do something about it. In this case, a parent looking at an entry to a school would be looking at putting children first. Putting others first is the biggest priority of a servant leader. The coin phrase servant leader was created by a gentleman, a man in 1970 by the name of Robert Greenleaf. He wanted to emphasize serving first, to empower others, and to create strong communities. We have to develop people. We have to support them to fulfill their full potential. And when we are in a group and we have shared goals, we help one another. And that's what the servant leader instills in people. They want everyone on their team. There is interested and wanting and desire for everyone on their team to achieve the achievable and to be the best that they can be. A servant leader prioritizes others at all times. They put their needs of the team first before their own. For faster growth, they're deeply committed to the professionalism and into the integrity. They don't lie, cheat, and steal. They're going to be someone that you can go to and depend on those people because you know that they have your best interest and you in turn will have the organization or the group's best interest in return. They build the community up. They demonstrate stewardship. Stewardship is to give of our time and our talent and of our treasures, meaning dollars, contribution, or fundraising to make and create those dollars for organizations. They lead with integrity, impeccable people look up to them. They inspire a vision. They create, if there's not a goal in which to get to, they create one. And they inspire with empowerment. Boy, do they ever. They make decisions and they make all of the team and they make everyone accountable to that end goal and result. Servant leaders are always prioritizing what truly needs to be done to the fullest to achieve the goals. A servant leader has compassion, they're high character, and they have competence. And they instill the three C's of compassion, character, and competence in everyone to ensure that goals are met. Real examples of servant leader we're all familiar with. Mother Teresa, the woman who came from a family of nobility, but yet she served by choice to serve the underserved in life, the poorest of the poor. She once said that she gets a reflection of herself, of the inside of her heart, by helping the people that others turn away from. That to me is an incredible. And we all know Southwest Airlines. Mr. Herb Kelleher was at one time the CEO, the chief executive officer of Southwest Airlines. He was notorious for making conditions, regulations, and compliant to make for a happy and much happier workforce and workplace for his employees that he led. He wanted them to come to work to be invigorated and to be inspired. And he's probably one of the most looked upon historically in the corporate world because of his putting others first. The woman who created Popeye's chicken, that blew me away. That her name is Cheryl, and she created the Popeye's Louisiana chicken, and she was very strong. And that's what we, as women, don't realize, that there are so many women that are strong leaders, that are servant leaders who serve others, putting others before themselves. And then this blew me away that they're the chief executive officer even of General Electric, Mr. Welch, Jack Welch. He wanted to improve and create a positive work environment for his employees that worked under him. Susan, the chief executive officer of YouTube. We all use YouTube every day as an app on our laptops or on our cell phones. Little do we know that behind the scenes, there is a servant leader, Susan, who's instilling positive for her employees to lead the way to help us in our everyday lives. And we all love our Starbucks coffee. My goodness, who doesn't know Starbucks? The Starbucks creator, Mr. Howard Schultz, he started out a little coffee company in Seattle, Washington. And now look, his name Starbucks is a household name used throughout the world. The man who created FedEx, he's another servant leader. He had the intentions when he created FedEx, the tools he needed to make service and to provide that service. They have a fleet of airplanes, of planes that they can go, that FedEx flies around the world to deliver the packages on time. That to me is incredible. He took a survey of what the public, not only just in the United States, but around the world, what do they want in servicing and receiving either packages or letters or very important documents, banking documents, financial documents, to create corporations and to whatever the mobility, to make us mobile in our world. He created FedEx to serve so many services that we all take for granted today, all because he had a vision. He met the vision by foreseeing something and created what the criteria was, and he did all of that while making his employees and putting them first, so that way a happy employee would be a productive employee. They would want to strive to please others because they felt taken care of. Servant leaders, one major quality about a servant leader is that they listen. They want to analyze, they want to know exactly before they set out, and while in the course of setting out, just exactly what, by their observing, why, what they're listening and what they convert it to, I can achieve this by, and they listen carefully to what is being said about what is not being done, and they create the task to create a world, meaning the community, which is their world, wherever that might be, anywhere in the country or throughout the international world, to meet the needs. Because of, they create extreme, extraordinary awareness through their listening and their awareness. They're calculating just exactly how can I make each and every one of you, for example, in this room this morning, how can I make your job, your life, not your job, but just your everyday life, a little bit easier? Starbucks does it by the barista, by setting up the kitchen to create these wonderful, fabulous aromas, coffees, the aroma beans alone create in our taste buds. We can't wait to have some of that wonderful coffee. They are very conscientious, ongoing to please the people. They're always searching. Are your company clients, are they satisfied with the service? What do we need to do to make it even better? They're always, even without being told, they either figure it out on their own or they do surveys, and they have people confiding in them. Well, I would like maybe the ability to receive my packages the same day, or I really like when I call on the phone and you want to contact with a person, a human being. I don't like being on hold. It takes me away from my other obligations. And even a volunteer or a woman or a man who works in their home, or a woman, for instance, who does not work, even it might take a lot from what she wants to achieve that day to have to sit on a phone and be transferred from one department, one person to the other. No, she wants to make that initial phone call, and with initially 1 minute, 1.5 minutes, she wants to get service right away. We live in a society of fast pace. People do not want to sit and go slowly. They want information fast, and they want it now. They take conceptions and they make them into reality. Instead of just daydreaming, they make reality possible. We want to first, I want to, if you don't mind indulging, I have been talking with you and I haven't, I'd love to read some quotes of famous people that we all know. Excuse me. Bill Gates of Microsoft, we all know him. His quote is, leadership is not about being in charge. Leadership is about taking care of those in your charge. That is by definition a servant leader, putting others first. And there's a person by the name of Simon who wrote a book, Start With Why and Speaker. The why of what you're doing. And Simon's quote is, Simon Sinek is, it has generally been my experience that the very top people of truly great organizations are servant leaders. They are servant leaders because they put people first. And of course, we've all heard of Stephen Covey, the author of 7 Habits of highly effective people. Mr. Covey says, what I have learned is the power of a compelling vision, a comprehensive strategy, a relentless implementation process, and talented people working together based on those commitments. That's what the servant leader does. They lead their group and they instill in them to work together. And as a team, they create those end results. And Alan Mulally was the executive officer of Ford. His quote is, servant leadership is more than a concept. It is a fact. Any great leader, by which I also mean an ethical leader of any group, will see herself or himself as a servant of that group and will act accordingly. That's what it's all about. It truly is a person putting what the ambitions, what the improvement of a community is. I want to first stop and give a narration of an illustration of the servant leader by one of the wives who was Mrs. Ida Green. She was married to Mr. Cecil Green, one of the owners and one of the creators of Texas Instruments. Texas Instruments is known throughout the world. And one evening when my family was having dinner with Mrs. Ida Green and Mr. Cecil Green, we were sitting at the table, and I happened to be sitting across the street, across the table from Mrs. Green, Ida Green. And she said, you know, Cynthia, our company, Texas Instruments, goes around the world, and in the most remote parts of the world, you see people who are suppressed. You see people that a community of not much ambition. And we come in and we create a presence of Texas Instruments in this remote part of the world. We come back in 2, maybe 5 years, and we see just radiance glowing from people. They have this pride that this is something they're creating, the ideas they're actually creating, they're being motivated to improve product, to improve processes, to make technology smoother and easier for the masses around the world. Mr. Kilby of Texas Instruments, who created the study of the sound by the rate of sound. It was an extraordinary big celebration around the world. There have been so many. Oh, and Eric Johnson, who was formerly back in the 60s and early 70s, the mayor of Dallas. He was one of the owners of Texas Instruments, and he was mayor of Dallas, Texas. He once gave, I'll never forget, he brought a box of handheld calculators and he brought them to my dad, Pete Lucas, and he said, Pete, I want you to pass these out. I bet there were 25, maybe there are 50 of them in this box. And let's try out this handheld calculator and let's see if it catches on or if anybody will even conceive to even use it. Well, as we all know in today's world, all of us have a handheld calculator and we couldn't live without it. It's that type of technology that someone at Texas Instruments wanted to create a technology of convenience for the masses, for people in everyday lives to enhance their lives, and took one little incident and made it easier. But the difference between the early stages of the handheld calculator are that they were plug-in, but now, of course, they're battery that recharge, and we don't have to plug in the handheld. We actually can go anywhere and hold it, put in our handbag, in our purse, our briefcase, our bag, and use it. And another item that Texas Instruments invented that I am always overwhelmed. Right now, we hear about using solar energy. Back in the 1950s, late 50s, Texas Instruments had created the solar radio. What it was a box about this big, about 12 inches long, and it was like 8 inches wide. And it had this little part, like the handle part of it, and you would turn it toward the sun. And that the rays from the sun would recharge the solar radio and recharge its batteries and keep it going for a longer period. And I'll never forget, as a little child, one day brought that, treated it like a toy. Go out in the backyard, turn on that radio, and I followed the sun and have that solar panel following and wanting it to get its energy from the sun. And that just shows you that there was an employee that was encouraged because of the leadership at Texas Instruments to invent that solar power radio. It goes to show you, it's just living proof of what this servant leadership is about. And it's prioritizing the needs of other people. And I forgot and failed to tell you that Greenleaf, Mr. Greenleaf, who founded the coin phrase of stewardship, leadership, he worked for the Center of Applied Ethics in 1964, and this company where he worked originally after retiring at AT&T. Mr. Greenleaf founded a company called the Center for Applied Ethics in 1964, which was later renamed the Greenleaf Center for Servant Leadership. I didn't realize it had been around for so long and how impactful around the world that it was. And I would like to open up the floor to discussion or questions. Does anyone have any questions, please?
Thank you so much, Cynthia. That's a
You're
very,
welcome.
very thought-provoking session. I was very curious to listen about and learn about servant leadership. So wonderful. I think now I see many of us as servant leaders serving the community. I think it's in each one of us, not just special to one specific person. I think we all put others first. It may be in a small scale or a big scale. At home, we put kids first. At work, we put the work first, you know? So I think we all are servant leaders by nature, and we have great corporate leaders in the world who are servant leaders. So amazing.
Exactly.
Yeah, so amazing to see that. And I especially feel all the members of WOVI are servant leaders as well. So wonderful to get connected to WOVI, Cynthia. I would like to especially
Thank
thank
you.
on this occasion. I'm very so proud to be a WOVI member. And thanks to Deborah for introducing me to WOVI and being a
Actually, I didn't know that. Oh my
yeah.
goodness.
Yeah.
Oh, well, no wonder you're so powerful. Oh,
I was
that's
introduced to Wobi from Deborah. So
oh my
Deborah,
goodness.
Deborah, are you here? Would you like to talk about Wobi a little bit?
Oh, well, I've got laryngitis today. Hard to talk. Great job, Cynthia. I would love to
Deborah,
hear an example from your personal life where you have observed a servant leader.
yes, I will be glad to share my insights about servant leadership. Well, before 2 years, a year and a half to 2 years before I graduated from Hillcrest High School in Dallas, Texas in 1969, in the early 60s, middle 60s, my Aunt Virginia Lucas Nick created TACA, TACA, and TACA creates and raises dollars for the arts of Dallas. That's the original was the Dallas Theater Center and then the opera. And then of course all the arts in Texas have some foot of in, in the on the wheel of contributions dollars to sustain them around Texas. And this organization at that time, when it was created by Jane Murkison of the Murkison, the oil and gas, one of the largest oil people in Dallas. She was married to him. And then the Evelyn Lambert, she was married to the famous Mr. Lambert of the Lambert Landscaping Company. He did all these huge, beautiful mansions, and he would turn the landscaping into beautiful scapes. I mean, just fabulous. He was he had an incredible mind for creation. And then there was my Aunt Virginia Lucas Nick, who created the vision, who wanted, I remember in the first talk stages of TACA to raise money for the arts, she created among her friends one evening, and I was there, I happened to be there, that she wanted an entity that would create money for the arts to expand instead of arts always struggling to have ongoing like sources of income, not only by ticket sales or fundraisers, but what can we do? And that is how TACA, TACA, TACA was born, and it's still very alive and well today, raising money, keeping the arts active in Dallas. I don't think there's a theater in Texas and in Dallas or in Texas that doesn't receive some type of funding because it's federal funding. It's locally grown money around Texas. And it contributes for the betterment. And this is where the servant leadership, which I had no idea when Aunt Jenny asked me to go volunteer. And at the time, it was at the Channel 39 station over on Harry Hines. I would work in that warehouse and type. When I was learning how to type, be a typist, I would type up auctioneer cards. And on Channel 39, they would auction items off, and they had hundreds of items to sell. And the auction would take about 2 days. They would block out the afternoon through the evening to raise money. Evelyn Lambert, of the three on the team that created TACA, she created the ambiance of a color combo of shocking pink and I call it shocking orange. And the two colors together, it was on their logo, and they would have tablecloths at events. And it always was just such a gorgeous color combination. And these same three women of Dallas, Evelyn Lambert, Jane Murkison, and Virginia Nick, created Girls Incorporated. And my grandfather created Dallas World of Affairs. And in the 1970s, after my grandfather, he died in 1956, she took his organization and even made it greater. She called it the Dallas Worldwide of Affairs and made it global. She created the Greek Heritage Society, and it was stationed here in Dallas and in New York and Athens, Greece. And what the Greek Heritage Society does, it studies the why of why people look the way they do, the evolution of civilization, but they go deeper. They find out what we don't know, because the world realizes that a lot of our history is more and expands more than from the influences of the Egyptian, the Palestinians, and all the different races of people around the world contributed more to civilization than we actually know. We just don't know, really. Every one of us is a bloodline to the creation of civilization. And there's so much more to learn still after all these years. Thank you.